Glenn, Dave's behind the camera. We're the NC Beer Guys, and welcome to another episode of the NC Beer Buzz. We're continuing our trip around the beautiful coastal Wilmington today, and we have found a real gem down here in Wilmington. Now, I don't know that everybody knew this or not, but all our craft beer drinking friends know about the application Untappd, where you check in on your app and check in your drinking history, what you're drinking now. Some people choose to rate beers, some people don't choose to rate beers, but you can keep an inventory of your own use or any number of things. But everybody knows about Untappd. What everybody doesn't know is that Untappd headquarters is right here in downtown Wilmington on Front Street. And we're here with Brandon Walker, who's Director of Sales for Untappd. He's going to tell us, number one, how Untappd came to be here and what they're going to do, what they do for us, and what we look for the future out of Untappd. So thanks for having us. It's great to be back. Great to be here.
Pleasure.
So Director of Sales for Untappd.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's start first. For our viewers that don't know what Untappd is, there are a few beer drinkers that don't know. Talk about the basic. What's Untappd?
All right, so let's go super 3,000-foot overview. Untappd, in its simplest form, is Facebook for beer. And what it is it's a means for people to go to bars, breweries, restaurants, anywhere with a craft beer or big beer presence. And what people do is they go in and they check into a beer, they check into a location, and they basically review the beers, and their friends can toast and leave comments and all that.
Or not review the beers if they choose to.
Correct, yeah.
You don't have to. I mean, some people now don't like to review beer, whatever. But
you're right.
So you're not forced to leave a review, a number.
Nor are you forced to check in a beer. You can also use it to search for places where you'd like to go grab a beer, right?
So you don't have to ever check in your drinking history if for some reason you didn't want people to know your drinking history.
Absolutely.
You could just use it as an application to search local breweries or for style of beer that's close to me where I am geographically.
Yes, and we offer kind of two means to do that. Nearby, where it's geographic proximity, or you can do by popular areas based on check-in volume. So where other people are going and expressing that they've had a beer. Yeah. So like you mentioned, you can kind of use it in two means, and we see a lot of our users go out and use it differently, where you have the review people who take photos and they're obsessive over earning these badges, which is
kind of like the little internal rewards program.
Yeah, it keeps it fun, right? Like you go, not only are you drinking, not only having fun with your friends, but then you get a little token that says you're having fun. You can let
and that application is also tied into your, if you choose to, tied into your Twitter feed and to your Facebook feed, so all your friends and followers who may not be on Untappd but follow you on other social media platforms, Instagram I guess, they can also see when you earn badges and maybe where you're drinking. But again, you control what they see, but it's a great kind of just another social marketing medium for beer drinkers.
Precisely, yep, and it's hyper focused within our industry, right? So it keeps it really tight knit. It gets the breweries involved. It gets a lot of our users are actually the proprietors of the businesses that are in the beer space. So it keeps. I mean, you know, our community. It's really tight knit.
Yeah.
Everybody likes helping each other, and you see that really propagate in the app.
So let's start from the beginning. How did Untappd start and come to be?
So Untappd was founded by two guys, Tim Mather and Greg Avola. And it's about 5 or 6 years ago now. They actually met over Twitter when Twitter was pretty new. And one lives in Los Angeles, the other lives in New York City. And they met just to get started on this project, which came to be Untappd. It grew like crazy. I don't think either of them expected what was going to happen in the long run.
Right.
So they had met living on opposite coasts and both held full-time jobs for the first 5 years of the app's existence.
Part of the story, we answered two questions for the next part of the answer. This is how it came to be in Wilmington. And what changed for Untappd about a year ago or 6 months ago?
So, let's see. So in Wilmington, there is another startup called Next Glass. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call Untappd a startup, but you understand, a rapidly growing software product. And Next Glass makes recommendations for beers and wines based on your taste profile. So we measure the chemistry that underlies these chemical elements of the beer or wine, and from that we can tell you what you'll like that's similar at a chemistry level, so it's not subjective.
And Next Glass has existed for some time in Wilmington.
Next Glass we launched in 2012.
Okay.
Yep, in Wilmington.
So you come from a Next Glass origin.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, I was with the Next Glass family team, whatever, it's kind of earlier on. And then back in January, we ended up merging with Untappd because we saw very similarly aligned goals between the two of us. The products could really naturally fit together with the science that kind of drives the recommendations. I mean, imagine the social component of Untappd driven by your preferences, not just check-in reviews.
That's right.
It gets that much more characterized for you. So it seemed just like a really symbiotic fit.
In January, we Next Glass merged with Untappd, and everything became Untappd.
Yes.
The brand is now Untappd.
So there is still a Next Glass app that exists, but as far as kind of the focuses of our team and long-term vision, it is completely Untappd oriented.
And at that time, Untappd became a resident of Front Street here in Wilmington.
Yep, right back in January,
right.
We finally moved into this beautiful office.
So let's talk about a couple of things now. Untappd, the future of Untappd, how will it evolve in the next couple of years?
That's a really good question. So Untappd, our goal as a company is to really be a household name in the craft beer industry.
What is the market penetration, or however you say that? How many users have you got on Untappd now?
We have over 4 million users.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many of those are paying to be super users?
I honestly don't know.
But not that many.
Yeah, no, it's not a significant percentage.
Okay.
I don't want to throw a number at you.
So, and then the backside of that, for those casual users, it's not going to change that much. It's got to be stable and it's going to grow.
Right.
But for the bar owners and breweries, what does Untappd offer to them to interact with their customers? How does that work?
Sure. So we have kind of two separate accounts on Untappd. We have what's called a brewery page and a venue page. And the distinction being a brewery page lets use who's a big distributor. Let's just use Bud, Anheuser-Busch as an example. They have a brewery page where if anybody checks in a Budweiser beer, anybody in the entire world, it is checked into their brewery page. Whereas if we have a venue page at Untappd here, if somebody checks into Untappd, they're checking in at this location. They're consuming any beer at this location.
And that shows up on the venue page.
That shows up on the venue page, correct. So for our brewery customers, we kind of have two different offerings. One of which is free. It's always been a staple of the Untappd product, and that is some insights and analytics into how their beers are being distributed and performing.
Who's drinking your beer, where they're drinking it, what they thought of it.
Yes, yep, and all those check-ins are kind of fed through your page, through your brewery page. So you, as a brewer, I could go in and see what's going on, scroll down, see what people are saying. You see your average reviews of a particular beer, in this instance, Budweiser. It gives you a high-level view of how your distribution is working and what people think of your beers. And then on the venue side, historically what it's been is just basically a blanketed page where you can see who your loyal drinkers are, who are coming in frequently. So if I see you come in and I know you're a loyal drinker, I can shake your hand, I can offer you a beer, I just know you exist and thank you for it.
Right.
And you can see a feed of people taking pictures, the reviews, the check-ins, all of that stuff. What we offer now is a tool called Untappd for Business, and this is how we've started to kind of monetize the Untappd product. And that gives these businesses on the venue side a means to publish their beer menu content in real time to our community of those 4 million people. And well, what benefit is that?
So they're like keeping their tap list current.
Exactly. And we make it super easy for these.
And you push it out to the user who subscribes to that page?
Yes, sir.
So if I'm following Bomber's Beverage, for instance, the bottle shop around the corner, and they kick a keg or get a new something on the shelf, I'll get a notice.
Exactly.
That
You'll get a
Bombers
notice
now
right there on your phone. And it's not only for beer updates. You can subscribe to event updates as well. So if they have live music, if they do a tasting of anything, if they create an event for
any event they put up there,
it.
you'll get a notice about it.
Absolutely.
If you've signed up to get notifications.
Correct. And so whether or not you have signed up to get notifications, they're at the top of our searches in that nearby list view. Remember I was telling you about that?
So if they have paid for the Untappd for Business, they get a little perk on the search side.
So we don't look at it as necessarily being associated where you pay for the service and you get boosted to the top. The reason we do it is because it's better content for our users.
Okay.
We know that this is what you have available to drink. It's not just been checked in the last 30 days.
It's more
or
current,
anything.
right? Because they're keeping up in real time because they are a subscriber through that service.
Exactly. So it provides a richer experience for our users. I know exactly what Bombers has to offer, where Proof is a bar right across the street from us here. I may not necessarily know what they have, or what the check-ins are, if it's up to date or not.
Right.
So, and then you can go in and you can see their events on their page, and you can... we call them a verified venue because it's verified that their content is accurate, that what they're displaying online is up to date. And then on the back end for these businesses, we provide analytics and insights similarly to we do for the breweries, but in richer detail. So we can tell you what beer styles are trending in your area, popular beers, information about the demographics that are checking into your venue. And the purpose for that is a lot of bars will sometimes use, you're my regular, hey, what do you think would be a good beer to put on? You like stouts?
Yeah, you often get asked. That's the reaction. Right.
And that's not necessarily data accurate. It's one person's opinion. So you may tap a stout and nobody else likes stout except for that one customer.
Who drinks every afternoon at your bar. Right.
Right. So, I mean, he is the only one drinking it, right? So it may take a month to kick the keg instead of 3 days like you'd like. So using that data, you can kind of say, oh, geez, like these red ales are really taking off in Wilmington for some reason.
I better try one and put one on.
Exactly. Right. And the goal is to tap that quickly. And then ultimately we can tell you how long certain beers stayed on your list so you know how they performed and put them on later, you know, the prices that you put them on. So it provides a lot of value to our users, which is first and foremost because that's why the businesses want to be on Untappd, is to connect with our audience.
But it's also a great value for the breweries that have signed up and paid for that service. I mean,
exactly.
They're not just paying to interact with their drinkers. They're getting value out of that dollar.
They're getting a ton of value out of that dollar because what we do for our customers, and at least for the month of June right now, something that we're offering is if you sign up for Untappd for Business, we will run a 2-week-long promotion, and it's really non-intrusive in the app. It's earned like a badge. So in Wilmington, let's say Bomber signs up, for example. I'll check in a beer, and it says, hey, Untappd is a newly verified venue. Go follow them, subscribe to them for menu updates, event updates. And
So you're pushing to the drinker, the check-in, whoever's checking in beer, you're pushing that venue to them saying, we encourage you to subscribe to keep up with what's going on at that venue.
Exactly.
So that could introduce a brewery to a whole bunch of new drinkers.
And we have seen it introduced. Night Shift Brewing in Boston, we were in this 2-week promotion for them, and this is just the first one off the top of my head. In 2 weeks, they had over 1,500 people subscribe to their venue. 1,500 people in Boston.
Who are now keeping up with what they put on tap, what they've got on the shelf, their events.
And they're selling a ton of beer to these people.
And they're paying nothing for that except their subscription to Untappd for Business.
Exactly. And what we saw, just diving one layer deeper into this, from those 1,500 people who subscribed, just in that first 2 weeks, 200 people came in for the first time ever after seeing that promotion and purchased 950 beers in 2 weeks. So we're seeing just, like you talk about value provided back to these brewers, it's substantial because these people love beer. They're hopheads.
That's
and
great.
They want to go and just constantly be at a cool venue like Burial or anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. We're going to cut this short so our viewers can go in and check another beer in on Untappd.
Yeah. Well, me too. I'm running short here.
Thanks for the beer today. So we want to encourage you to go out, and if you don't happen to know about Untappd, sign up and see that you can keep up with your beer in the future. If you do know about Untappd, check into some of these resources that you may not have used. You may be too casual a user of Untappd. And of course, if you're a brewery or a brewer following us, maybe you want to check out what Untappd for Business has to offer you. Anyway, we're here in Wilmington, and this is great to find another beer resource here in Wilmington. And until next time, this is Dave and Glenn, the NC Beer Guys, reminding you to drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina.